Hey gang, welcome back to the channel. My name's Nicky V. I play on records here in Nashville. I teach and tour with a couple different bands. I know we have a couple new subscribers joining us this time because the video last week blew up far more than I was ever expecting it to. I think I got 350,000 views and 1,500 comments, and the comment section got colorful on there. And one of the things that seemed to come up a lot was, how do you get one of those touring gigs in the first place? So this week I'm going to kind of discuss a few tactics and kind of a playbook of how to try to maybe get your first bus gig. I want to start off by saying this is mostly geared towards like the Nashville touring scene, right? I don't have much experience in Los Angeles or New York or Texas. I'm sure people get plugged in differently down there, but some of the fundamentals I'm going to talk about here probably still apply. Like I said, this is mostly from the Nashville guys and how I've seen me and my colleagues get gigs here in town. So I've seen two ways of getting a bus gig. The first one is you come up with a band that had some success and they got to the point where it's time for a bus. That's usually not the case, though. I would say 95% of the time that's not the case. Most of the guys out there that are on tours are hired guns that were hired after the band already had some level of success. They already have a bus and a tractor trailer they're traveling with. And then they just hire a pro band around them that have the skills and the look and all the stuff to kind of pull that gig off. So most of those sideman gigs you get like that, you get from people vouching for you or recommending you for the gig. And getting that very first one is tricky, right? Because say you're already out there on tour with, another artist or something, and a slot that's a better gig becomes available. Most likely they already know that you have that skill set because you've been out with, another known artist and can clearly execute the job. Say you've been there a couple of years or something. So it's a little easier. But getting that very first one's the tricky thing. So the easy answer is networking, right? It's what you always hear thrown around. Oh, how do you get the gig? Oh man, it's all about the networking. It's who you know. And that's true. But what they don't tell you is where to network and how to network and what you should be doing while you're networking. You have to network with the circles you want to be working with, okay? So first you have to figure out where those circles hang out, where they're at, what they're doing. So most of the touring musicians in Nashville, for example, the guys that are, when they get into town, they want to go and actually just have dinner and drink a beer and hang out with their friends, they're not going to go downtown on Broadway here in Nashville to like Jason Aldean's or Luke Bryan's and hang out. They don't want to deal with the tourism and all that. They're going to go to like Music City Bar and Grill, Scoreboards, the Underdog, the Local, places like that. Because that's where musicians hang out, like working musicians in town. That's where you want to be if you want to get in with those circles. Go there, shake hands, have a beer with them, buy them a beer, whatever. And a lot of those places always have live music going on. So that's where you probably want to spend your time, because say you get a gig there playing or performing in one of those places. You get on stage and you start pretending basically that you already have an artist gig. You treat that gig like it's a huge stage on an artist gig. And what does that mean? That means having your tone dialed in like the record, nailing the sounds from the record. If you're a guitar player, having the feel, being able to adapt the feel to whatever the band is you're covering at that time. Playing the record exactly like the record, knowing all the signature licks, all the kickoffs and all that stuff, how to end it like a pro, and just being like a solid all-around musician with pocket, tone, and feel. Obviously, if you're playing at these places and you're shaking hands with them and stuff, you're going to get to start to wiggle your way into those networks eventually. And it takes time, and it's not going to happen overnight or just going out. I went out twice, nothing happened. No, it's going to be, multiple times. Every time I leave the house to network, I plan on losing $20 in beer and French fries or whatever, okay? You're going to go out, and the first 6 times you go there, spending your money and time and shaking hands, it's going to lead to nothing, right? Not one contact that leads to $1 in your wallet. But the 7th time you go, or maybe the 7th, or might be the 9th, or might be the 3rd time if you're lucky, you're going to meet that one person, right, that's going to give you a shot, and you're going to prove to them that you always deliver excellence because, that's what you did the last time they saw you play somewhere. They followed you on Instagram from a couple weeks ago, and everything seems to check out, right? You seem like a pro. And that one person's going to give you a shot, and then that one person leads to 3, those 3 lead to 9, and that 9 leads to 27. So your network grows exponentially from there, right? And one other thing I want to mention is the best way to get work, and I say this a lot, is to give work. A lot of the time, if you're wanting to get within a certain network, find an excuse or a reason to hire the people that are in that network that's slightly above where you're currently at. And that helps lift you up to where they're at. And it does this over and over again, right? And you tend to lift the people up around you. The best way to actually get somebody to, return the favor or answer the phone even is to give them money. Okay, so if you can find a reason to give them good quality work that pays well, the next time an opportunity comes up, they might think about you. That doesn't mean they owe you anything, right? Because you can't think like that. You can't have that, well, I did this for them, they didn't return the favor mentality. That's never going to fly. You just have to stay positive and hope they do. And sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. That's all right. That's part of the game. That's like kind of the playbook for networking to get into the circles you want to get into that I've used. And I'm sure there's a bunch of other ways out there. That's just like one specific kind of, route to go. But I hope that helps with, trying to get that first contact in the first place. I hope that helps you guys. Also, if you can sing, that is a gigantic plus. It just makes you that much more sellable if you can handle basic background vocals live on stage. If you can't sing, it's not like a deal breaker at all. I can't sing, period. And I've been working in town consistently for the last 6 years, doing live work, touring work, everything. It makes it a little more difficult. You really have to be able to play. But if you can sing, it's definitely just an added bonus, and it makes it a little more likely to get your name tossed into the hat. So what is getting your name put in the hat? You hear that term tossed around a lot. And what it means is basically when a position becomes available, the people within a certain camp, like the other musicians or the band leader, sometimes the artist even, will recommend, hopefully you or somebody, for the gig. And so your name goes into a hat. There's no hat. They just, it's just a list somewhere. And they try to pick one of those people from that hat to get the gig next. So usually the first thing they're going to do is look at your Instagram. And on Instagram, they're looking for tone, feel, stage presence, look, pocket, that kind of stuff, right? So your Instagram is not just like a social media tool. And people call it the Nashville business card, but I actually try to look at it more as like an EPK. And it represents you and what you look like and what you sound like. And it's a great way for whoever's a potential employer to look at it and be like, okay, this person here, is exactly what we need. They fit the bill. So if they like what they're seeing and hearing from you, and the other guys in the band, hopefully a couple other people kind of know you and can vouch for you, you get the call. And that's what we've been shooting for all along, is getting that very first call for our first bus gig. Now, once you get that call, you have to figure out how to make the transition, right? And sometimes it's smooth, sometimes it's not. Say the person you're taking over for is leaving amicably, you can kind of work out the transition date to where you can get your life events in order and all your previous obligations that you had that are making you money in town, for example. You can kind of get that covered to transition onto the road. And if not, you just make it work and you do what you can and hopefully not ruffle too many feathers along the way. So that's my advice on how to get the first one, right? And the days of like the cattle call audition where they're like, hey, this huge artist is going to audition 30 guitar players today. We need you there at 10 a.m. I haven't heard of that since I moved to town in the last 6 years. I know that it used to happen. I just don't see that happening anymore. It's all who you know and recommendations and people vouching for you. So now that you got the gig, you need to prepare for the gig. The first thing you need to do is get pro level gear, have your gear put together right. Take that pedal board that your drunkle soldered on a tailgate back in Missouri down to Exactone Solutions here in Berry Hill and have them wire it up to where it's not going to go down on you the minute it gets pummeled by Texas rodeo dirt, on your first 2 weeks out. Make sure all your gear is going to work well, your tone styled in, just like the record. And the most important thing is to have that record learned exactly, dead on, note for note, how the artist wants it. A lot of the time they'll give you a board mix from the previous person, and so like the flow of the show as well and what the transitions are between songs. Practice standing up, because there's a difference between practicing sitting down, staring at a computer screen, performing. Stand up, walk around your room, pretend like you're on a stage getting ready for that gig, so your first time you step on stage, you're dialed in and ready to go. It's all about the preparation. After the preparation, it's about what you do off stage. And people always say, okay, how's he as a hang? They always say, is he a good hang? You hear that a lot. They aren't meaning that you're cool. What hang actually means is, are you considerate? It's all about consideration on the bus. Once you get on the bus, you don't want to leave your shoes sitting down the aisle for people to trip over in the middle of the night when they get up to pee. Simple stuff like that. Clean up after yourself. If you're getting done eating a bag of chips and somebody's sitting there with some trash in their hand, pick it up for them, throw it away for them, stuff like that. Just try to be kind and considerate. That's all that means being a good hang. Don't be, too over the top and too crazy all the time. Most people are out there, they're just wanting to chill and watch stuff on their iPads or talk and hang out and not do some crazy stuff all the time. So be laid back, be considerate, and be kind. Now, when you're on stage, that's a different deal. You need to bring it. You need to be an absolute top shelf performer because that's what you're getting paid to be there for. And you want to keep getting called back, and you don't want them to go with one of those other names in the hat after your first weekend out, right? So have your look together. Have your wife or girlfriend take you shopping and get some clothes to look cool on stage. Like I said, have your gear and your tone styled in and play that record dead on, note for note. And another thing that I want to talk about is it's called, I don't know what the actual term for it is, but it's like spotlighting. So say there's an event happening on stage, right? Say it's a keyboard solo or something. With your body language, you can help direct the crowd to where their attention needs to go. The best in the world at this is Paul Sanders. He's a bass player. And when you're playing something like bass, there's not a lot of solo moments where the spotlight's on you. But he's super cool on stage, and what he does is anytime there's an event happening, he pulls attention to that with his body language. He'll turn around to whatever's happening, or over here, he'll walk around the stage to wherever the audience attention needs to be directed to. And that's, it enhances the show. So little subtle things like that. I might do a whole video on like stage presence later, but that's what I would say is like what you need to focus on. Tone, playing the record, having a stage presence when you're actually on the stage, right? But when you're off the stage, be laid back and cool and don't cause any trouble for anybody. The more problems you can solve for an organization, the more valuable you are to them. So obviously some people will go with their CDLs. So say, you have a long drive somewhere, you make some extra money driving the bus home. And that's a giant, another thing to deal with. But some people do it. Some people get their actual license to drive the bus, and they double or triple their income on runs by doing that. So you're just increasing your value if you can sing, be kind, clean, all that good stuff. And this last one's tricky, but it's really important. You got to stay positive. And I know that's hard, right? Super hard when things aren't happening and you feel like you're spinning your wheels and stuck in a rut. It takes time. It will happen. It doesn't happen overnight. You just got to keep grinding it out, networking, shaking hands, and eventually some phone call will come through if you are the right fit for it. And sometimes you're just not the right fit for a particular gig. Say you're a 6'3" guitar player and really attractive, and the lead singer of the band that you're trying to get in with is 5'6" and ugly. Management's probably not going to want you there towering over that singer looking at them when they're the star. You're not going to get the call for that gig. I have a friend that auditioned when I was in college in LA for like a huge band, and they loved him. Everything was cool. And the artist's wife walked in and said, no, we can't hire him because she didn't want a blonde guy in the band. They wanted somebody with dark hair. That literally happened. So sometimes you're just not the right fit, no fault of your own. And it's probably not the right gig for you anyways. Stay positive. It'll happen. It's all my seasoned guys are already on bus gigs. If I left anything out, please let me know down in the comments. I'm sure the people that are trying to figure this stuff out and break into the scene would find it helpful, and I would appreciate it as well. I'm sure I missed a bunch. The more we all know, the better, right? We're a community, and we're all trying to help each other out and lift each other up. Also, if you guys are just trying to figure this stuff out or have any specific questions, I do my best to respond to every single one of those down in the comments. Just let me know. I know this video is obviously geared towards like all musicians trying to get bus gigs, but if any of my fellow guitar players are interested in guitar lessons, I do a bunch of teaching at my studio here in Nashville or online. I do Skype, FaceTime, Zoom if you aren't in town. All you gotta do is shoot me a message over on my Instagram. Just shoot me a DM at Nicky V Music. It's actually Nicky V_music. And I'll get you on the schedule. I don't do like the whole, you got to purchase a package thing or anything like that. It's just as you need them. Some people do once a week. Some people do once every 2 weeks. We'd love to work together and help you out, break through whatever wall you're trying to get through or whatever your next musical goal is. I know there's a lot of amazing channels out there with stellar video editing, and I'm doing my best to try to learn all this. So thank you guys for your patience. And I truly appreciate you spending some time here with me on the channel. Listen to me ramble about things I hope you find interesting. I'm going to put my Venmo and my PayPal down in the description. If you guys want to throw a couple bucks on there, that helps me get more lights and up my camera game and all that to try to make my YouTube a little bit better. Appreciate you guys. Please hit the like and subscribe, and I'll try to post another video over one of these shoulders that you guys might find interesting. Stay positive. I know it's tricky and it's tough and it's hard when things aren't happening, but stay positive. Good things happen to good people, and I'm working on that myself every day. So thank you guys.